Welcome, everyone. I am so, so grateful for you all being here. I set up this Facebook Live. Oh, I have 4 people in the waiting room wanting to come in. I'm going to click them all in. I set up this Facebook Live a few days ago because I have been going through some really tricky stuff in my life the past week. And I feel like one of the best things about going through hard times is being able to use those hard times to help other people through hard times as well. If I could just ask all you beautiful ladies who are on camera to mute your microphones, that way background noise won't be picked up. That would be super awesome. Thank you so much. So I won't go into a ton of detail because anyone who's watching this probably already knows my situation. I was awakened in the middle of the night on Valentine's night by my fire alarm going off. And it took me a little bit to figure out what was happening. And I went outside for a few minutes. It was 11 degrees below 0 Fahrenheit, which is, I think, 23 below Celsius. And it was just so cold. My daughter and I, who was also in the house with me, we got in the car with our dog. And I was just so happy we were all okay. And we were trying to figure out why the alarms were going off. And we realized it was like waking up from a dream. We realized that water was pouring through the deck above us. I lived in an apartment building. I was on the first floor, and the second floor above me, water was just pouring through. And it's so weird. We should have realized right away, we're not sleeping here tonight, but it just took a minute to dawn on us. So I went inside to get some belongings. And as I was leaving, there was water starting to pour through the ceiling above my bar, through the electrical on my bar. And there was water just coming through the ceiling. And I went back into the car and sat there, and I thought, okay, there's hundreds of people. It's a huge apartment complex, and there's people walking around with their dogs. They're not going to get to us tonight. We're not going to figure this out tonight. Let's just go find a safe place to go back to sleep. So we went to my sister's house, who let us just descend on her in the middle of the night unannounced and let us sleep. She has actually a beautiful finished apartment in her basement. So we had a great, safe, warm place to sleep. And over time, it's just been slowly dawning on me what's happened. We found out that we had a really crappy insurance policy, and our insurance isn't covering any of our lost furniture, which it's all lost. All the furniture is lost. And it's been hard and it's been scary, but I think I've been through some hard things in life enough to know that this will pass. And people like Carrie have reached out and said, I've experienced floods or fires, and you're going to be okay. You're going to look back on this and realize that it's okay. And just knowing, one of the things I teach people in hypnosis is go out into the future and look back on this time and get some perspective. And so I've had that perspective. And yet at the same time, now that we're relocated to the 4th floor, the apartment's been very generous with us. They've put us in a beautiful, empty apartment on the 4th floor. Now that I'm up here, it's almost harder, I think, to keep my spirits up. I'm finding that the gravity of my situation is settling in. And I scheduled this call, and then I thought, oh crap, I don't have anything positive to say to these people because I just am in a slump. So as I was getting ready to go to bed last night, a person who I very recently met, asked me if I had heard the commencement speech, "This is water." I don't remember who wrote it right now, but I have it in my notes. I'll mention it in a minute. And I went and looked at it, and this theme of water has been so present in my life. I'm actually just learned to swim kind of a few years ago because I've always been afraid of water. Like absolutely terrified of water. And yet when I'm in my shower and I'm in water, that's when I get my most brilliant aha moments. The things that have skyrocketed my business forward, the things that have helped me win personal battles of my life have all come to me as I was standing underwater. So I went and listened to this commencement speech, and I just listened to the first few minutes because I was so tired. And so I said, okay, I'm going to listen to this as soon as I wake up. And I woke up this morning and I still had my eyes closed, and I was just listening to this speech. And I recommend you all listen to it too. I'll tell you what it is when I get to that portion. But I thought, you know what? I'm just going to do this Facebook Live commencement speech style. I usually have bullet pointed notes that I will then expand upon. But this I actually wrote out this morning, and I haven't even proofread it. So I'm crossing my fingers it's coherent. But I'm doing this in the spirit of a commencement speech because I think that commencement speeches can be one of the coolest ways to change your state, to get in a powerful, positive mood, because it's just soaking up some encouragement instead of listening to that voice in our head that's telling us life is hard. So here's what I wrote this morning. I'm resituating my notes on my computer screen so I can read this to you all. So I grew up with a dad whose philosophy was a place for everything and everything in its place. And a mom whose philosophy was, I can't think about it today. I'll think about it tomorrow. Our house was in constant disarray and chaos. My dad would come home at the end of a long day, see toys and clutter strewn throughout the house, and go on a throwing away spree. I learned really quickly that it was painful to be attached to stuff because I would watch my stuff be thrown away. 14 years ago, I went through a divorce after being a stay-home mom for 15 years. I had a high school diploma and I had never worked outside the home. Somebody told me, you'll never make it on your own. I downsized from a 3,000 square foot home to a tiny apartment with my 3 daughters. I got rid of tons of stuff. It was one of the most liberating feelings in my life. In the past 14 years, I've moved nearly 20 times. I called myself a vagabond gypsy and refused to let myself get attached to places or stuff. In hindsight, I think I was unconsciously moving to escape the discomfort of my life. I was searching for peace and belonging and hoped that I would find it in the next place. A few years after my divorce, I was driving in my car, feeling extra sorry for myself. I was a single mom on welfare. The words, "You'll never make it on your own," were ringing through my ears. I thought about the dysfunction and chaos that was modeled for me my entire life. I thought about the abuse I had endured as a child and a teen. And I thought, if only I hadn't been through those things, then I could be okay. I love to read. I'd read dozens of books to understand why I couldn't get a handle on my life, no matter how hard I tried. All the books said, if you had a rotten childhood, you're pretty much screwed. The more I read and sought to learn, the more I became entrenched in a victim mentality. I blamed my mom. I blamed my kindergarten teacher, my dad, my grandparents, the kids who made fun of my red hair and bullied me in school, my pastor who screamed so loud about hellfire and brimstone that he spit out his false teeth, caught them in midair, put them back in his mouth, and then went on screaming. Driving in my car that day, I felt so hopeless and heavy. I felt broken. I wanted to live a good life, but I couldn't because of my past. I was a victim. I remember, one second, I'm going to let someone in the waiting room who's waiting. I remember driving around a lake and thinking, this is too much. It felt like a 2,000-pound gorilla was sitting on my shoulders. For some reason, that lake sticks in my mind, not because I wanted to jump in. I was raised to be so afraid of hell that suicide seemed even scarier than my hell on earth. But there was something about that water. And then a thought entered my mind. It felt like it came from outside me. The planting of a teeny tiny seed. What if you're not broken? What if you don't have to go on being a screw up just because you had a screwed up childhood? What if you're okay? The idea felt simultaneously terrifying and liberating. I repeated the idea in my mind. What if I'm not a victim? What if I can be okay? What if I am okay? The 2,000-pound gorilla lifted off my shoulders. That moment, over a decade ago, still sticks in my brain. I don't remember it accurately because every time we access a memory, we change it. That's scientific fact. I started looking for evidence that the past doesn't have to predict the future, that I could be okay. I gathered stories about people like Elizabeth Smart and others who had endured abuse far worse than anything I could imagine. and that they were still okay. And they're even sharing a message to help others step into their okayness. A few years ago, I started studying hypnosis. My teacher, Mike Mandel, taught me that I could change my state anytime, that I could change the way I thought about the world, and that I could show up in the world and I could change who I was being. I could change how I was showing up in the world. I could go from victim to victor by using my imagination, by changing my focus. Freddie Jacquin taught me in his total perception management technique. He taught me his total perception management technique that confirmed my belief that even when life sucks, that I can still put my focus on my okayness. On Sunday morning, I went to the gym just two days ago. I was at the gym and I was lifting heavy weights while I was listening to an audiobook called The Joy of Movement by Kelly McGonigal. She's a scientist who geeks out about why things are the way they are. I am a why person. If you can give me a good reason, if you can't give me a good reason, I'm probably not gonna do it. Kelly talked about the resilience and optimism that comes from moving your body with intention. As I was heaving a barbell on my shoulders, she talked about the Tough Mudder race and how it ends with people walking through a mini jungle of electrical wires that deliver a shock known as electroshock therapy. It hurts people and they do it willfully. It makes them more resilient and they understand that they can go through hard times and be okay. Then she mentioned that studies on rats show that the rodents become more resilient when they can control or reduce electrical shocks. But when the shocks come without rhyme or reason and they're unexpected, the rats become despondent and depressed. And I thought, I didn't expect this shock. I didn't want this. I left the gym and walked to my old apartment. I chose that apartment because it's right across the street from my gym, which is my happy place. It was the first apartment I had decorated since my divorce 14 years ago. I decided that it was home, and I planned to stay there for a long time. As I went through my mold-infested, water-soaked belongings to see if anything was salvageable, I thought about the rats who had no control over the shocks. I give people tools to create their own life with purpose. I believe we get to choose our destiny. But this shock came without warning. On Valentine's night, I laid my clothes out on the floor to go to the gym the next morning so I could work out as soon as I woke up. And when I woke up to alarms blaring and water streaming in from the ceiling, all I could think was, but I'm supposed to go to the gym. It was so disorienting. And now I was in my apartment, all my belongings destroyed, my kids' artwork destroyed, the chalk drawing my daughter had won first place for, completely erased by the water. I had no control over the shock and I felt like a victim. I was still listening to The Joy of Movement on my AirPods while I was walking through my apartment. And now Kelly McGonigal was talking about the way movement affects our brains. She was talking about the science behind something that I teach people all the time. When you change your body language to match optimism, it changes the chemicals moving through your body. The chemicals that make it feel like a 2,000-pound gorilla is sitting on your shoulders. She gave the example of tribal dances where people put their hands in the air like they're going through the finish line and they look up and jump vertically as if they're popping out of a giant cake. I stood up in the middle of my damp, mildewy apartment, surrounded by my stuff, and put my hands in the air and looked up and jumped vertically. And I had a thought that entered my head, almost as if it was from outside of me, that said, what if I'm okay? You guys, I'm sorry I'm being so emotional. I keep on thinking, okay, I'm gonna get it together. I put a post on Facebook last week about how I was feeling optimistic and grateful that my daughter and her dog, who were in the apartment with me, were okay. I was grateful for the outpouring of love and support from friends and family and even strangers. But I've been on a roller coaster since then. I've had moments of joy and laughter and optimism, and gratitude, followed by the 2,000-pound gorilla, hopelessness, overwhelm at the thought of all the minutia that needs to be taken care of before I can get back to life as usual. Moments after my victory jump, I was upstairs in my new empty fourth floor apartment and the gorilla was back. I thought about the rats who can't control the electrical current. I thought, I don't want to do this. I didn't choose this. Yesterday, I thought about this presentation and I wondered, why did I do this to myself? I don't have anything positive to say. Then, during a random conversation, someone mentioned the commencement speech, "This is Water" by David Foster Wallace. I have all my best ideas in the shower when water washes over me. When a person stands near a waterfall, negative ions have a powerful antidepressant effect. And now water had washed away my life. Or maybe it has washed away the past so I can focus on a fresh start. I have no idea. I will say that I don't believe that any higher power or lower power, for that matter, did this to me. Sometimes shit just happens. I listened to the commencement speech, and I highly recommend you do the same. This is Water by David Foster Wallace, as he explained that the key to living a life of peace comes down to focus. We feel like we're the center of the universe. We think stuff happens to us. We're in the middle of our own personal flood, and the 2,000-pound gorilla is sitting on our shoulders. It's so easy to feel like a victim, especially when we're completely blindsided. But guess what? Two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. And the simple question, what if I'm okay, can squish out the fear and panic and self-absorption that keeps us stuck in overwhelm. Couple that with putting your arms in the air, looking up and jumping or bouncing, and you've become invincible. It might only last a few seconds, but you can do it over and over and over until you literally reprogram yourself for joy. I catch a lot of flack when I tell people that hypnosis helped me break free of lifelong depression. I teach people who struggle with depression that the most powerful thing they can do is change their body language, but that's way too simple. And we all know depression is a chemical imbalance. I'm not a scientist or a doctor, and I have no idea if I'm giving you good advice, so follow it at your own risk. But I will tell you that when I change my body language, it changes everything. You cannot be depressed when you're doing this. I double dare you to try. And yes, you might have to do it over and over and over, but it changes the chemicals in your body and your brain. I have one more double dare for you, especially if you're a Y person or if you've ever exercised to lose weight. I think exercising to lose weight is the dumbest idea ever invented. So the last double dare I have for you is to read The Joy of Movement by Kelly McGonigal, especially if you feel depressed or anxious. If you want to change the chemicals rushing through your body that make it feel like a 2,000-pound gorilla is sitting on your shoulders, move your body. Bonus points for adding music that makes you feel like you can conquer the world. So I talked about commencement speeches and how they can help so much. One of my favorite commencement speeches is called Make Good Art by Neil Gaiman. And in that presentation, in that speech, he says, if you don't know what's impossible, it's easier to do. And because nobody's done it before, they haven't made up rules to stop anyone from doing that particular thing again. And so I want to say to you, what if you're okay? What if the past does not predict the future? What if no matter how many years you've been stuck in that uncomfortable, unenjoyable situation, there is hope and there's a way to move forward? And what if it can be as simple as changing your body and changing your words? Okay, that's the end of my speech. When I set this up, I wanted to make sure that I give everyone who joins, and I am so grateful. Thank you so much to every single person who is here in this room, in this Zoom room with me. I so didn't want to go live on Facebook and just be looking at my own picture. So those of you who are watching on Facebook, I'm not a good enough multitasker to look at you and acknowledge you, but please know that I see you nevertheless. And I'm so grateful you're watching either live or on the replay. And when I scheduled this call, I wanted to make sure that I give you all something. This isn't just about me telling my sad story, which really I absolutely know I'm going to look back on this and see it as a blessing, not because some higher power did this to me or the universe or whatever, but because I can choose where I go from here. And even though I have moments where I feel like just laying in bed and sucking my thumb, which I don't really do, but it makes a funny picture. I know that I'm going to move forward and I know that I'm going to be okay. So I want to give you all tools as well. So when you're going through life and things are hard, that you can tap into your inner resilience, that you can tap into your inner okayness. And the first one is something that anyone who's interacted with me has heard me talk about over and over and over. And that is what I consider the most powerful self-hypnosis protocol in the world. And it takes about 30 seconds. And I call it my 3 Bs. For quite a while, I thought that I made this up. I'm like, this is a really awesome idea. This works so well. And then in the past couple of weeks, I've been in a clubhouse room with David Snyder a couple times. And every time I hear him talk, I'm like, I totally stole this from David Snyder. Like he teaches this. I know most all hypnotists understand the mind-body connection, that when we change our body language, it changes everything. So the 3 Bs are body language, breathing, and beliefs. And that third one, beliefs, that seems so sticky, doesn't it? It feels like we're so entrenched. If it's a belief, it means that it must be true, or that it's going to be really hard to reprogram. And I'm going to tell you that all our beliefs is recycled self-talk. It's just the things that we say to ourselves over and over and over. It's the books we read that say, I'm not okay. Hang on, I'm going to mute. Well, can I ask everyone who's on right now? And I'm going to click mute all. Okay. Okay, so it's the books we read that say, if you had a screwed up childhood, there's something wrong with your brain and you're never going to be okay. It's, these things that we just say to ourselves and repeat to ourselves. It's our parents telling us when we're a kid, why don't you ever do anything right? And then we repeat that over and over. And it's actually incredibly easy to switch those beliefs, especially if you change the first 2 Bs first. So when you change your body language, will you all do this with me right now? Even if you're watching on Facebook and I can't see you, will you just imagine that there is a magic string pulling you up right from the center of the top of your head? And so it's allowing you to relax your shoulders. You're not sitting up straight like this. You're just becoming straight like this. And then just lift your chin slightly and then look up. All of this body language sends a message to our body that I am okay. And now I want to challenge you to do something that can be really uncomfortable. I want you to smile so big the wrinkles on the side of your eyes crinkle up. And I want you to stretch out your arms if it's comfortable to do so. And just say to yourself, what if I'm okay? What if life is good? What if all is well? And now I want you in this same position, keep this same smile on your face, keep looking up, outstretching your arms, and try to feel sad. Try to think about that thing that was making you feel bad earlier and find that you cannot. In fact, the harder you try to feel sad, when you change your body language, the happier you feel. That's right. That's right. And now you can relax your arms down and just get in a comfortable position. I truly believe that that is the most powerful self-hypnosis protocol in the world. I just had someone reach out to me a couple days ago, and my heart went out to her because she talked about how she's been struggling and feeling low and struggling with anxiety. And she had been in therapy a while before and it helped, but now she's slipping back into that place. And it's so tricky for me because I never want to minimize something that a person is going through. I know the heaviness that comes from depression. I experienced it my entire life until I learned these tricks. But sometimes you don't have to go into hypnosis. You don't have to go into therapy. It can be as simple as saying, what if I'm okay? And you start to tune the reticular activating system of your brain to find all the evidence of your okayness. I start seeing people everywhere I look that are pouring love on me, that are being so gracious with me. And it makes me realized like that stuff doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And honestly, it was really easy for me to step into that. The things that have been hard have been, seeing my kids' artwork destroyed. But for the most part, I'm not a stuff person. I'm not that into things. And I can say that all day long, but I know I was feeling sorry for myself when I was moving up to the 4th floor and being in this empty apartment. And then I started thinking about people who don't have a roof over their head, people who don't have a warm place to sleep at night. And it just let me be filled with gratitude. So that's the first tool is to use the 3 B's. I recently read a book called Bliss Brain by Dawson Church, which is another amazing book. And he talked about meditation. And if you've ever tried to meditate, it can be so hard to just focus on the breath or just be present. And you might sit down and you might pay attention to the breath for like 2.5 breathing cycles. And then you're thinking about that bill that you need to pay later. And then you're thinking about that thing that person said yesterday that was so frustrating. And then you're like, oh yeah, coming back to the breath. Inhale, exhale, fill the air on your upper lip. And then you're thinking about that other thing that you need to do later today. And it's so hard. And what Dawson Church says is, what if it's not about getting good at being present? What if it's not about focusing on the breath? What if it's okay to absolutely suck at meditation and mindfulness? And the whole point is when you notice yourself feeling sorry for yourself because your apartment flooded, or thinking about abuse from the past, or thinking about the thing that this person said, it's just an invitation to come back to the present. And if you find yourself having gone through therapy or having experienced an amazing hypnosis protocol or getting a breakthrough, and then you find yourself slipping back, what if it doesn't mean it didn't work? What if it doesn't mean you're broken? What if it's just an invitation to come back to now, to come back to the present, to change those 3 B's and to change the way you're showing up in the world? What if the past does not have to predict the future? And what if you are more okay than you realize? Okay, so I want to do something really cool with you all. As I'm listening to this book by Kelly McGonigal, she's talking about the power of moving as a group. And I was thinking, how can I incorporate this into my Zoom sessions? And I have no idea how this is going to work with the timing of all of us being on different Wi-Fi connections and then people watching live on Facebook. But I would love it if you would just try this for me. So I'm going to pick up, this is my Wonder Woman AirPods case. If you would just pick up some random object, it could be a cell phone, and just do this with me. And let's just do this synchronized movement together as a group. I don't know if it will, you can just follow along with me, and it may or may not sync on our camera. And if you're watching on Facebook, I invite you to do this with me as well. I'm noticing my breath starting to shift. I learned this from Melissa Tiers. It's called bilateral stimulation. And it just allows you to start kind of just to regulate the system, to get both hemispheres of the brain working in a way that allows uncomfortable, anxious, or depressed emotions to move through and out of the body. And now I invite you just to take a deep breath from your belly and let it out with a sigh of relief. And now you can go ahead and set that object down. Thank you for doing that with me. I think it is so awesome that we can be here, people on this call from all around the world. And even if you're watching the replay of this, knowing that we can sync up with one another and that we can support each other and that we can lift each other up. And this is such a hard time, you guys. I know we're in pandemic, we're being distanced from people, we're lacking the thing that we need the most. And I just want to say to you, what if you can get that same connection virtually over Zoom? I believe you can. I experience it every single week. I do a Trancy Tuesday group hypnosis session, and I experience that connection and that bond and that feeling of not being alone in the world. And I want to say something else. I feel really passionate about this, and I don't know why I feel like it's so important for me to talk about it on this call. But I see a lot of people talking bad about Facebook and how Facebook is just this negativity fest, and it's this awful place. And so I want you all to know that when you're scrolling through Facebook and you see something on Facebook that makes you feel yucky, that makes you feel like the world is this doomy, gloomy place, or reminds you of all the terrible things going on Facebook, if you go over to the side of that post, there are 3 little dots. And if you click on those 3 little dots, you can click the button that says unfollow. This person does not know you're not following them. You're not unfriending them. It just means that their negativity is not going to show up in your newsfeed anymore. And you can customize Facebook to be a positive place. So the only people whose posts show up in your newsfeed are posts that make you feel amazing. You get to create your own destiny. You get to create your own experience. And for me, going through this hard time, I have connected with so many people, all the beautiful faces that I'm seeing here on this screen right now. Those of you who I know are watching, and I can't see you, but I can feel you in my heart. I've connected with so many beautiful people, and the outpouring of love that I have received from people on Facebook has been so overwhelmingly beautiful. It has made me feel so loved and so connected, and it is real. I have friends in the UK who have supported me and connected with me in a way that just is more than even my own family has done for me. And I've never met these amazing ladies in my entire life. I've never met them in real life. So I want you to know that those connections are available to you. You can get on YouTube and search commencement speeches, watch Neil Gaiman's commencement speech, watch the one I just mentioned whose name I can't remember, This Is Water, watch Jim Carrey's commencement speech. There are resources out there for you to bolster yourself and to lift yourself up. And it can be as simple as just saying, what if I'm okay? What if I can make it through this? Okay. I believe when I set up this call, I promised a hypnosis session for resilience in hard times. And this will probably be a short little hypnosis session. The biggest thing I want you to understand is all hypnosis is changing what you're focusing your attention on. If you do it when you're in a relaxed state and you have your eyes closed and your body is just in a place of receptivity, it tends to work even better. But it can also work when you're doing this and you're watching the news and you're feeling so scared and they're telling you the sky is falling, and it goes right in and your whole body believes it, and it puts you in a fear trance immediately. So I want you to understand that all hypnosis is changing your focus. And for me, going through this experience, and it's so easy to focus on that 2,000-pound gorilla. It's so easy to focus on the stuff that's going on in my life. And this has given me so much more compassion for people that go through these things. You know, I want to say, well, you can do these tools to get through it, but sometimes life just sucks. And sometimes it's okay just to feel the suck. I want to walk you through one more quick exercise. So often when we're going through really hard times, we resist that fear. We resist that sadness. We resist that grief, that heartbreak, whatever it is that is causing this, the 2,000-pound gorilla to be on our shoulders. And I want to show you a really cool trick. Like I said, I'm a why person. I love understanding the science behind things. And there's a woman named Jill Bolte Taylor, who is a scientist that discovered that it takes 90 seconds for an emotion to move through the body. And I know some of us have been stuck in grief or sadness or heartache for weeks or months or even years or decades. And that seems like total BS, 90 seconds. But what happens is our focus can keep that emotion recycling over and over and over so that we feel stuck, and it literally becomes our way of showing up in the world, our way of being. And so I want to show you a really cool experiment that helps you, for one thing, just be okay and accept your sadness. If you're brokenhearted because your daughter's artwork just got flooded away, it's okay to feel that sadness. You don't have to pop back into joy over and over. This is something that I'm saying this to myself more than anything, because I got so sick and tired of always being sad and depressed about my life that I refused to do it. And I just popped back into joy. But I've learned that the flip side of that coin is allowing the sadness when it needs to be there. And when we stop resisting it and stop wishing it would go away and we just allow it, it moves through us. So I invite every one of you who's watching right now to just think about a situation in your life that is hard. perhaps something that's keeping you sad or mad or anxious, and just allow yourself to feel it for a minute. Just put yourself in the situation where it bothers you the most, imagining that you're there right now, seeing through your own eyes, hearing with your own ears, feeling with your own body. And now I want you to just scan your body and notice where you feel that thing the most in your body. It's okay to even make it up or guess. And now I want you to imagine that you could just shrink down really tiny and just go inside that feeling in your body and just look at it. And just say, I see you. Simply acknowledge it. And notice the way it begins to shift. Just a simple acknowledgement. It's like an unkinking of the hose that allows it to move through your body. And then I invite you to just come back to that motion we did a moment ago. Just pick up an object and move it back and forth. And just focus on that feeling and just notice, if you can even find it anymore, notice how it starts to shift. The reason I'm prioritizing the formal hypnosis section of this the most is because this is hypnosis. And then couple this with the idea of saying to yourself, what if I'm okay? And you can set that down and relax. What if you are okay? Marie Forleo says the most powerful words in the universe are the words we say to ourselves. And so often those things that we think are beliefs are really things that someone else has said to us, and we've recycled it in our own mind over and over and over. And what if you become your own biggest cheerleader? What if you start telling yourself, I can do this. I am okay. I did not choose this electrical shock, but I am okay. I am resilient and I can be victorious. Okay, before I go on, I don't even know what I'm going to do for the hypnosis portion of this. I have no idea yet. So I would love if any of you who are on camera with me would like to share anything or to ask anything before we move forward. I welcome you to do so. And I don't want to put anyone on the spot and make you feel like you have to, but you're welcome to just unmute your mic, which if you happen to be new to Zoom, there's Bina. Yes, go right ahead. I would love to hear what you have to say.
It was really nice listening to you. And you're talking about getting ideas after a shower. I can so resonate with that because I also used to have so many questions in my mind. And after a nice shower, the answers used to just drop into my mind. It's amazing.
Isn't that amazing?
Continues. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. It's so true. And I hardly ever do it on purpose, but I find that when I'm struggling with something, I actually once, I don't know why I'm going to share this, but I am. I was in a custody battle with my ex-husband, and I was so stressed and overwhelmed. And I have nothing negative to say about my ex-husband. We were like children when we got married, and he's the father of my children. So, but I was in this terrible custody battle and I could not figure out, it felt so heavy and scary. And I thought, how am I going to make it through this? And I got in the shower, and it's like I had this download of what I was going to say to the judge to help her understand my story. And I went and I wrote it down, and I had permission to read it. Usually the judge won't let you read stuff, but she gave me permission, and I won that custody battle. And it just blew everything out of the water. So I think when we shut up and we stop trying to figure stuff out on our own, and we just ask a question and then be quiet and maybe go get in water, you'll be amazed at what comes to you. Thank you for sharing that, Bina. Does anyone else have anything they want to share? Okay, so for anyone watching, if you're new to hypnosis, I just want you to know that this is a cooperation between you and I. I'm not going to make you do anything. There's a really good chance you'll remember just as much from this little hypnosis session as you would from any conversation. Some people, when they experience hypnosis, feel deeply relaxed and heavy, almost as if they're sinking into the surface beneath them. And some people feel light, almost as if they're floating. And some people, when they're in hypnosis, experience the sensation of just sitting in the chair and listening to my voice. And I want you to know that whatever you experience is just right for you. And I will give Jason Lynette full credit for that little pre-talk because he's the one that taught it to me. So often people who are hypnotists themselves struggle with limiting beliefs about getting into a trance. I know I have as well. We think, oh, I'm so good at helping other people, but I'm terrible at it myself. And I just want to ask you, what if you're actually really good at it? What if you've been hypnotizing yourself to think you're terrible at it with that self-talk you've been recycling in your mind? What if it's just simply a matter of sitting down in a state of curiosity and thinking, I wonder how well this will work? So I invite you, if you're ready and willing, to go into beautiful healing hypnosis to program you for resilience in hard times, just to close your eyes, relax your hands into your lap, let your feet be relaxed, separated on the floor if it's comfortable to do so. If you're lying in bed as you watch, that's fine too. There are no rules to this, just be comfortable. And simply become aware of the rhythm of your breathing. There's no need to manage it, to change it. Just notice the way the in-breath leads to the out-breath. And I invite you just to send a simple thank you to your lungs. Thank you to your unconscious mind that keeps you breathing 24/7 without you having to do anything. You can just be here now. As you think to yourself, I am here. All is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. Out of this situation, only good will come. And I am safe. Notice the way your body responds to that self-talk. There have been times when I've been in such a dark place and all I could do is recycle those words that I learned from Louise Hay. All is well. Everything is working out for my highest good. Out of this situation, only good will come. And I am safe. And I would like you to imagine yourself right now approaching a waterfall, a beautiful, beautiful waterfall. You can hear the powerful sound of the water thundering on the earth below. You're standing so near, you're very safe, but you can feel the spray of the water on your body. When a person stands near a waterfall, it puts off negative ions, which are actually incredibly revitalizing to the body, revitalizing to the mind. And the incredible thing is, by just imagining that waterfall now, you can experience those same benefits. Your body does not know the difference between reality and something you vividly imagine. So hear that waterfall. See that waterfall, perhaps seeing the rainbow of light filtering through the mist. Breathe in that waterfall. Breathe in resilience. And I wonder what it will be like the next time you get in that situation that's been bothering you, the next time you think about that thing that's been bothering you. If you were to filter it through this waterfall, if you were to almost see that mist with the rainbow, to feel the humidity and the moisture on your skin, to hear the thundering sound of the water and know you are okay. It's not even, I'm gonna be okay. It's an acknowledgement of your okayness in this present moment. I wonder what it will be like a month from now, having come back to this waterfall in your imagination over and over and over. Yes, there might be moments still of sadness, of depression, of heartache, of anxiety, but now you have the magic formula for stepping out of it. You can change your 3Bs. You can imagine this waterfall. You are doing this right now in your mind. Nothing has changed in life, but in your mind, you are realizing that you are resilient. You are resilient. And the past does not predict the future. You get to create your life with purpose. You get to choose your own adventure. And I wonder what it will be like a year from now, having re-experienced this waterfall, having changed your 3Bs over and over as you reprogram yourself for joy. What will it be like 10 years from now, looking back on this moment and realizing this is the moment everything shifted? And I'd like you to imagine yourself at the end of your very, very long, healthy, joy-filled life, a very old man or woman looking back at this moment and realizing this is the moment when everything shifted. And if you could come back and whisper a secret in your ear as your future self, what would you tell yourself right now about that situation that was bothering you? What do you know now about your resilience and strength that you didn't know before? That's right. And I just invite your unconscious to tuck that knowledge away in the place where it makes the most difference and generates the most healing, the most optimism, the most forward momentum, so that you can be reminded to come back to joy, to come back to presence, to come back to this waterfall over and over and over. And when you re-experience sadness, when you recycle those old negative things, know that it doesn't mean it didn't work. It doesn't mean you're broken. It just is an invitation to come back to the waterfall, to come back to the present, to come back to the breath, to get in the victory posture, to put your arms in the air, to look up, to smile so big it hurts your face, and to say, what if I'm okay? If it's too hard to believe, the what if at the beginning softens the blow. If you can't tell yourself, I'm okay, you can put the what if at the start, and it programs your unconscious mind to look for proof that it's true. What if you are okay? So in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 5. I could just ask you to open your eyes because that's all hypnosis is, but I want to make it official. So I'm going to use my friend Mike Mandel's outduction and say, when I get to 5, your eyes will open. You will feel absolutely amazing. You will remember that waterfall every time you need it. You will realize your resilience and strength from now on, because 1 can always come back to the surface feeling 3 times better than before, with eyes open, feeling wide awake and refreshed on 5. Welcome back, everyone. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for being here. I was so nervous about this. I didn't have my stuff set up. My monitor that I usually have, the cord was waterlogged and I can't get it to work. And I thought, oh my gosh, my heart is pounding. I've never done this way before. So I'm just so incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. I'm just going to name the people that are on my screen because I want to acknowledge you. And I know there's a few people here that don't have their video on, and there's lots of people on Facebook, but Jackie, Bina, Ron, Sarah, Maggie, Gloria, Robert, Charles, Krissa, thank you all so much for being here. And thank you to everyone. I can't see the names of the people that have their camera off, but I saw you come into the room and I'm so glad you're here. Thank you to every single person who's watching live on Facebook. Please remember that you are resilient, that you are strong, that the past does not predict the future, and you are not broken. I'm going to go ahead and end this. I don't have any fancy way to, oh, let's end it like this. Let's end it. I would love for everyone, whether you're watching live or you're here on the screen or you're watching the replay. If you're watching the replay, like your body does not know the difference between reality and your vivid imagination. So vividly imagine that you are right here in the room with us and just hold your hands to your heart. Perhaps you can feel your heart beating beneath your hands. Perhaps you can feel the rise and fall of your breath as you breathe. And I want you just to become aware of the sensation of being supported by the surface beneath you. Notice the way your body is being held right now. And I want you to notice the feeling of being supported by the people here on this call. And I'd like you to imagine that you could step into the room of one person who you can see here on the screen, and that you could just look them in the eye and simply say, I see you. You are okay. And notice them receiving that. Notice the way they light up with the knowledge of their okayness. And now I want you to vividly imagine, whether you're here on the call or whether you're watching the replay or watching live, that every single person chose you. And they are all standing around you right now, and they are looking you in the eye, and they are saying to you, I see you. You are okay. And just let yourself feel that and breathe in the knowledge of your okayness. And I invite you to reach out to me anytime. Private message me, comment below this video, lift one another up, share your aha moments. I think when we document our aha moments, it helps them get into our bones even more. So write your aha moments, write down what you know about your resilience, write down what future you told you when they came back and whispered in your ear so that you can encourage other people. Have a beautiful day, my friend. Thank you so much. You are okay. And if I can figure out how to move my mouse, I'm going to end this call.